Welcome back, fourth graders. We're going to learn in this lesson about space and specifically perspective. So, space is probably one of the very hardest things to do in art, just in general, to do it accurately and well. And really, what space is all about is showing correct perspective. Perspective is how you see things. So, really, on a painting or drawing or an artwork, it's what you really see versus what your brain knows or understands is there. And that's two totally different things. Like you can be trying to draw something in space and then think, well, this just is not turning out, even though I know what this is supposed to look like. So I'm going to show you some tricks and techniques throughout our lesson. But the artist I'd like to introduce you to is Van Gogh. But I'm going to take you back in time about 500 plus years now. So let's take a look. I'm only going to show you a few pieces of art from actually Europe in the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages were about 450 to 1450. So that's like 1,000 year span of art that's been recorded over time. And a lot of it just looked like a lot of art at that time was actually made for churches, or it was made for kings and queens. And again, I'm saying this is only in Europe. So we're only looking at one part of the world, one small part of the world. Okay. Many countries in Europe, but I'm only looking at these. And so the artists were kind of playing with the idea of space. But if you really look at this piece, this could not happen in real life. Like there couldn't be these people in this space with this person above it and these people over here. It's just not right. It's almost right, but something just feels off and it's not quite there. And this one over here, the people are just really, really, really close together and they're not really vanishing back correctly, but they have some idea about space, at least, kind of like bigger, smaller sort of things. A lot of the artwork, like I said, that was being done back then, people like us, we would call middle class, lower class people, they just didn't have art. They had no time for it. They were working out in the fields. The middle class really didn't exist. So they didn't have any need for art in their life. Pretty much only the art was in, like I said, in churches. And then we're also for any of the rulers of that time. So only a few people had or saw this artwork. Then people started making paintings kind of about other things. So these pieces were specifically displayed in churches. So they were uh, more images or ideas about what the church was all about. And they really weren't concerned for things down here on earth. They were very concerned about more like heavenly places. So a lot of the backgrounds are just in gold. You don't really see anything beyond that. This is a drawing of more like real time, but you'll see what ended up happening here is the people that are less important to the artist, the people who are the workers are less important to the artist or for the person who is paying for this painting. So they get shrunk. They just shrink them down. That has nothing to do with space. It just is how important or non-important you think you are, which isn't really very nice because these workers are very important. And then the people that are very powerful and dress super, super well become bigger in the paintings. Well, that's not space either. And then all of these buildings go back in all these really wonky ways that don't make any sense. I mean, obviously, look at this person. How are they going to get through that door? This does not make any sense. But the artist was attempting to show space, and this is all that people knew at that time. Well, what ended up happening then at the end of the Middle Ages and the beginning of the Renaissance time, and a lot of people know about the Renaissance time, it's supposed to be this period of great art growth, great science growth, knowledge, reading, all these kinds of things. So in the 1400s, there was a man who was an architect and a little bit of an artist and a mathematician that discovered something. His name is Leon Battista Alberti, and he um, wrote this book called On Painting, and it shows how to draw using one point perspective, how to draw space. So this is actually kind of like an image that would have been in his book. And down over here is this idea up here in action. So what ended up happening was the Renaissance artists which are also known as the Mutant Ninja Turtles. Those Renaissance artists, Raphael, Donatello, they read the book and they're like, watch this. Look what I can draw. Here is Raphael's School of Athens. This shows space with perfection. So here you have everything big in front, and then it goes back into space, like right in the center. All the people up here are bigger, and then they get smaller and blurrier as they go back into space. All these lines shoot at angles back into space. He was really showing off his artistic skills and the fact that he got his hands on his book and was able to read this book. So all those Renaissance artists started reading the books and showing off their art, and they became very famous for it. Here is Raphael's piece, and you can see it with the lines drawn over it, kind of from Alberti's book, how the lines go back into space. Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo was also one of those famous Renaissance Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he did the same thing in this famous painting called The Last Supper. And if you look at these lines back in space, these are all diagonals that go to the person who is in the center and the most important person in this painting. And it was a big deal when this painting was made because he showed perspective. And the same thing with this one over here. These lines are going back into space. So I just wanted to show you those kinds of ideas. So if we fast forward like 400 years, artists are using this all the time. They're using it outside in space, inside in space. I'm just going to show you quickly 4 of Van Gogh's pieces. I want to show you a little bit more about Vincent van Gogh. So here we have a big boat in front, getting smaller, getting smaller, getting smaller in the back. And if you take your fingers and put it right on your screen right now, you can feel those boats getting smaller and smaller as they go back into space. Here's another one of his pieces, and you can see how these lines angle back. I want to show you how to do that correctly in art. Here's another one over here where that pool table angles back, and look at the floor. I love that floor. That's why I wanted to show you this. You can see how that all angles back to that very back wall. Look at it's a square, and then we have these angles coming in. And this is the last one, which is one I will show you if you get a chance to come to class, if you're a hybrid learner. This is called Bedroom at Arles. Arles is a town one of the towns that Van Gogh lived in, and this is one of his paintings about himself and his brother, whom he missed dearly. So in this painting, what he did is Van Gogh was in his bedroom and he was painting his bedroom because that's how he would kind of rent rooms to be able to stay in. It was kind of a way to live there in Europe at that time. So everything in here is a double. What I mean by that is this is a picture of his brother. Here's a picture of Van Gogh. There's 2. There's 2 other pictures on the wall. There's 2 doors, a door here, a door here. There's 2 window panes, which makes sense, but he purposely put in 2 chairs. There's 2 glasses back here. It's a little bit hard to make. There's 2 pictures. There's 2 pillows. He wrote to his brother Theo and told him how much he missed him and how he made this painting about them so they could kind of like share the same space sort of in his brain. And I thought it was really interesting. So what we're going to do is you're going to create for your assignment your own bedroom when you come to class, or on your own if you're a distance learner, and you can share your steps with me. And I'm going to show you how to draw a back wall and some side walls into perspective to show good space. We're going to get some carpet or some flooring on here and make a bed and some other pieces of furniture that you want to make. I'm excited to share that with you, friends. Thanks for coming to class, and hope to see you soon. Bye.